So, you want the best horror games on PS5? Good news! This system is stacked with scary titles, and some of them are honestly on a whole new level. Today, I picked 18 horror games that show exactly what the PS5 can do. Big names, small surprises, tense stories, and jump scares that hit harder than you think. Just a warning before we start, these games might keep you up at night, and you might end up buying more of them than you planned. Alright, let's get into it.
The Quarry feels like someone handed you the script for a summer camp slasher and said, all right, you're in charge now. 9 counselors, 1 long night at Hackett's Quarry, and every single choice you make twists the story in ways you don't always see coming. People can live, people can die, and half the time, you're praying your quick reactions don't betray you when a chase scene suddenly explodes out of nowhere. The acting hits hard too. With faces like David Arquette in the mix, the whole thing looks uncannily close to a real movie. What really gets you, though, is how the tension creeps up. It starts with harmless camp-ending fun, then the woods start whispering, and before you know it, you're knee-deep in full monster chaos. The branching paths go wild, so replaying it actually pays off. And if you just want to sit back and watch the madness, movie mode lets you tune how everyone behaves and roll with it. It's the kind of horror that's even better with friends shouting advice that makes things worse.
Where do you think you're going?
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard hits with the kind of raw fear the series hadn't delivered in years. The shift to first person puts you right in the middle of that rotten Louisiana house, and every room feels like something you shouldn't step into. The Baker family makes sure of that. Jack Baker wandering those halls, taunting you while you scramble for scraps, is the sort of stress that sticks to your skin. The place sounds alive, the creaks, the echoes, the flickering lights, and it traps you in this awful calm before everything snaps. That dinner scene near the start sets the tone perfectly. You're Ethan, not a super soldier, just a regular guy way out of his depth, and that's what makes every encounter hit harder. Play it in VR, and it basically turns into a nightmare you volunteered for. RE7 pulled the series back to what made it special and set the stage for everything Capcom has been doing since.
Did you write these pages, Mr. Wake?
I'm trying to remember it.
You're the killer, the cult leader.
No! You've got the wrong man! It's my fault! It got out!
Wake has a double. Where is he now?
I don't want to be in the story, just write me out of the story!
Alan Wake 2 comes in like a bad dream you can't wake up from, and that's exactly what makes it hit so hard. Alan's side feels like you're stuck inside a story that keeps rewriting itself around you, twisting every room and every shadow until nothing feels safe. Saga's path starts calm, almost routine, and then the whole thing slides into this strange, creeping madness that never lets up. Both sides feel rough in their own way, and jumping between them keeps your nerves tight. Ammo's short, enemies push hard, and the darkness always feels like it's inching closer. What really sticks with you is how the game talks about stories while you're inside one, like it's pulling you deeper on purpose. And the look of it on PS5 is unreal. Those woods at night feel alive, and not in a friendly way. This is the kind of horror that doesn't just try to scare you, it crawls into your head and stays there. Visage drops you into a normal-looking house and makes every corner feel wrong.
There's no guide, no little prompts telling you what to do, just you, the dark, and a place that clearly hates you. The house never sits still. Doors slam, lights pop off, and you hear soft steps behind you that make you freeze. Your sanity slips the longer you stay in the dark, and once it dips too low, things start hunting you for real. The ghosts don't follow a script, so every hallway turns into a gamble. You're digging through the broken stories of the families that lived here, and each chapter feels heavier than the last. Playing with headphones is a full-body stress test. The PS5 version loads fast, which makes it worse because you're always right back in it. Visage doesn't do cheap surprises. It builds slow, steady dread until you're gripping the controller a little too hard. Dredge looks calm at first, just a lone fisherman working the waters around a quiet group of islands. You sell your catch, fix up your boat, move from one spot to the next. Easy stuff. But once the sun drops, the whole sea changes. Shapes move under the waves, the fog crowds around you, and your mind starts fraying the longer you stay out. Strange creatures drift close to your boat, and the fish you pull up start looking wrong. Extra eyes, twisted bodies, things you don't want to stare at for long. You keep digging into a mystery that feels better left alone, but the loop is so addicting that you always go out for one more trip. The slow build of fear is what makes it shine. No big jumps, just this steady feeling that something out there is watching you. On PS5, it runs smooth as glass, which keeps the tension tight. It's a quiet kind of horror, the kind that sneaks up on you when you're not paying attention.
Returnal hits with this cold, uneasy vibe right from the start, like the planet itself is watching you. Celine's stuck in this twisted time loop, waking up at the crash site again and again, and the place never feels the same twice. Rooms shift, creatures change, and the whole world feels like it's trying to get inside her head. You're moving fast, dodging walls of glowing shots while your health melts away and every fight feels tense, because you know one bad moment sends you straight back to square one. The PS5's DualSense goes wild here. Every gun has its own feel, every trigger pull has weight, and you can almost sense the planet breathing through the controller. The story is where things really get under your skin. It's messy, personal, full of strange symbols and flashes of memory that hint at guilt and trauma Celine doesn't want to face. You're never sure what's real, and that's exactly why it works. If you want horror that creeps in slowly while still demanding sharp reflexes, this one sticks with you.
My only choice is to keep fighting. To keep looking for answers. My only hope is to break the cycle. Before the cycle breaks me.
Still Wakes the Deep throws you onto this creaking oil rig in the 70s, way out in the dark waters near Scotland, and instantly makes you feel stuck. You're Kaz, just a normal guy trying to do his job, when something ancient breaks loose under the sea and turns the rig into a nightmare. The place already feels dangerous before anything goes wrong, but once the walls start twisting into fleshy shapes and water pours through every hallway, it's pure panic. The people you meet sound real, heavy accents, rough chatter, and that makes every close call hit harder because it feels like these could be folks you actually know. There's no fighting here. You're just squeezing through tight spaces, running from things you never fully see, and hoping the whole rig doesn't sink beneath you. Storm winds slam the structure while you're dodging horrors inside, and on PS5, the lighting and sound make it feel almost too real. It's the kind of horror that sticks because everything feels grounded until it suddenly isn't.
Are you taping again? Come on. I don't know why, but I just love it here. It's so peaceful.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place.
Just put the gun to their head.
You can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
You should see your face, team.
Let go!
I'm sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
This place is different from what I remember.
Silent Hill 2 Remake pulls you straight back into James Sunderland's nightmare, only now the fog feels heavier and every shadow looks sharper. Bloober Team didn't try to rewrite the soul of the original, they just gave it a fresh body that makes the dread hit even harder. Wandering through that empty town feels wrong in all the best ways, and the creatures, especially Pyramid Head, look like they crawled straight out of a fever dream you'd rather forget. The game's still slow, still awkward in its fights, and that's the point. James isn't some action hero, he's a broken man stumbling through guilt he can barely face. The soundwork is unreal, with Akira Yamaoka's music weaving into the newer audio, so the whole place hums with tension. If you're new, this is the cleanest way to experience one of the best psychological horror stories ever made. And if you've played it before, the remake keeps the heart intact while giving every scene a sharper, more suffocating edge. The Last of Us Part 1 hits with the same weight it did all those years ago, only now everything looks sharper and cuts deeper. Joel and Ellie's trip across a broken, fungus-covered America still feels raw, heavy, and way too real at times. Early on, every dark room turns into a nerve test because those clickers pick up the tiniest sound, and one wrong step sends you straight to the game over screen. The way their clicks bounce around a hallway, still nightmare fuel. And the wild thing is how your fear slowly shifts. After a few hours, the infected stop being the only threat. People like David's crew show up and remind you that the real danger is what folks turn into when the world falls apart. The PS5 remake gives everything a fresh punch. The faces, the lighting, the grime, all of it. Cutscenes hit harder because the characters feel so alive, and the DualSense stuff pulls you deeper into every moment. Left Behind is included too, and that abandoned mall section still creeps me out. If you skip this story till now, this version is the one to jump into. The scares land, but the real sting comes from how far people go to keep the ones they love close.
Tormented Souls brings back that old survival horror feeling in a way that almost feels rebellious. Caroline Walker walks into this strange mansion looking for missing twins, and the whole thing turns into a messy, twisted maze before you even catch your breath. The fixed camera shots, the tight inventory, the stiff movement, it's all a throwback, but it feels deliberate, not clunky. The mansion loops around itself with locked doors, hidden paths, and puzzles that actually make you stop and think instead of just grabbing a key and moving on. Combat hits hard because ammo is scarce and every fight feels like a small gamble. The place looks great on PS5 too. Dark halls, flickering lights, the kind of atmosphere that keeps you checking corners for things that might not even be there. And the story? It gets stranger the deeper you go, leaning into that eerie, dreamlike horror older games used to love. It's not some massive, open-ended adventure, but it's packed tight and moves with purpose. If you grew up on classic Resident Evil or Alone in the Dark and want something new that still carries that spirit, Tormented Souls scratches that itch with style.
When you need only accept the sacred gift.
Christ!
Like she did.
Temperance, child.
I've taken the liberty of preparing some entertainment for you. The entertainment. Without further ado, the gallant knight protects the princess Faye.
I'll make it cheap for you.
Move!
It's always like this with you.
Resident Evil 4 Remake takes a stone-cold classic and pushes it even higher without losing what made it legendary. Leon's trip into that remote Spanish village is still wild, still chaotic, and still one of the best openings ever put in a game. Only now it looks insane on PS5, and the action feels smoother and sharper. The knife having durability adds a whole new layer to how you tackle groups. And that parry? It turns tight fights into these frantic little dances where every second counts. Every gun hits with real weight, and juggling crowds feels better than ever. The story keeps its campy charm, but adds just enough grounding to make the characters stand out more. Ashley actually helps now instead of feeling like a chore, and the regenerators. Yeah, they're worse in the best way. The island section feels like a total overhaul with way more tension. Even side stuff, like Mercenaries mode, hits harder than expected. Characters like Lewis, Krauser, and Salazar all got better lines and better delivery, which makes the whole journey feel richer. This remake doesn't just shine up an old favorite, it shows how to honor a classic while pushing every part forward. Whether it's your first run or your 50th, it's a must-play.
I need somebody who can withstand anything. I need a nobody. But what I got was you. And when I see what you are capable of, I think you might be the one that shows this miserable world what freedom really means.
The Outlast Trials throws you straight into Murkoff's twisted playground, and it does not care that you brought friends. You're still trapped in these warped Cold War experiments, creeping through filthy corridors with nothing but a camera, a few tools, and a whole lot of fear. These trials shift and twist every run, so you're never fully ready for what's waiting. And the enemies? They're not monsters from another world. They're broken people molded into killers, which makes them way worse. The 1950s vibe gives everything this heavy, paranoid feel, like the walls themselves are watching you. Playing alone is panic in pure form, but co-op turns it into this frantic mess of yelling, scrambling, and praying nobody runs out of batteries. Progression keeps you hooked, handing out new gear that barely makes you feel safer. On PS5, it handles the chaos cleanly, even when everyone's losing their minds at once. If you want fear you can share, this is the one.
Otto and Aurora, Chris. Sister dear.
Yes, lover?
These rough beasts would like to make our acquaintance. Two very different kinds of genius. Her gifted in chemistry. Him gifted in politics. Opposite and complementary tools of manipulation. Always watching. Never out of reach. The fountainhead of a medicated and managed future.
This is Senior Medical Officer Nicole Brennan. Medical is overwhelmed. We need help.
Dead Space Remake doesn't pretend. It goes all in and rebuilds the USG Ishimura like it's daring you to walk the halls again. The ship looks sickeningly real now. Lights flicker, shadows twitch, and you keep brushing past stains you hope aren't what they look like. The necromorphs feel nastier than ever, and cutting them apart has this crunch to it that makes your stomach do a little flip. The sound work is unreal. With a headset on, you hear the ship breathe, groan, scream. You start flinching at noises that aren't even enemies. Isaac's whole nightmare feels heavier, meaner, and the PS5 haptics drive that home every time something grabs you. It respects the original but isn't afraid to push harder. If you skipped Dead Space years ago or just want to see survival horror at its sharpest in 2025, this is a must-play.
Resident Evil Village drops you into a cold, eerie corner of Eastern Europe and wastes no time dragging you into Ethan Winter's new mess. The game leans into this strange mix of fear and chaos, and the wild part is how smooth that balance feels. 1 minute you're creeping through Lady Dimitrescu's castle, trying not to breathe as her daughters swarm after you like living storms of insects. And the next, you're out in the snow fighting off werewolf packs that come crashing out of the dark. Then the tone flips again. Donna Beneviento's place hits you with that doll scene, the kind of scare that sticks in your head long after it's over. Morale's area is this wet, twisted nightmare, and Heisenberg's factory feels like you wandered into a metal grinder. The shooting feels tight and heavy in your hands, the whole thing looks clean on PS5, and the pacing never drags. Sometimes you feel tough, sometimes you feel like you've got nothing. And when you're done, Mercenaries is right there to keep you playing. Village shows you you can crank up the action without losing the fear that makes Resident Evil land so hard.
Well, Ethan Winters. There you are.
Little Nightmares 2 Enhanced Edition builds a world that feels wrong in a way you can't shake off. You're Mono, this tiny kid hidden under a paper bag, slipping through places that look built to swallow you whole. Six runs alongside you, and the way you two move together gives the story this quiet, sad warmth under all the horror. Every spot you visit feels like it's hiding some awful history. The school hits you with that long-necked teacher who listens more than she looks. The hospital gives you mannequins that only move when you're not staring at them. And the city? People glued to their screens, drained of everything, just staring. The puzzles are simple but sharp, and working with Six makes even small jumps feel tense. The art style does most of the talking. Stretched shapes, crooked rooms, shadows that feel alive. On PS5, the smoother frame rate makes those chase scenes way more frantic. And that ending, it leaves a sting.
This isn't loud, jump-in-your-face scary. It's slow, strange, and unsettling, like a storybook that went very wrong. Perfect if you want horror that creeps up instead of shouting. Alien Isolation throws you into Sevastopol and makes you feel alone from the first step. You're Amanda Ripley, trying to piece together what happened, and the station feels dead in that old-school sci-fi way. Chunky screens, buzzing lights, the whole place hanging on its last wires. Then the xenomorph shows up, and everything changes. This thing isn't scripted, it isn't predictable, and it's not interested in giving you space to think. It watches how you hide. It listens. It learns your habits. You don't beat it. You just try to stay one step ahead. The motion tracker helps, but the sound it makes is loud enough to make you nervous because looking at the screen means you're not looking at the room. The tension doesn't fade, even after hours. Every vent sound makes you freeze. Every shadow looks like trouble. On PS5, the game runs smoother, which makes it even scarier because you don't get those little breaks from stutter or load screens. Isolation is pure survival. No power fantasy, no shortcuts, just you trying not to die. It's the closest any game has come to the 1979 movie's slow, suffocating fear.
The Last of Us Part 2 hits you with the kind of fear that crawls under your skin and just sits there. Playing as Ellie in those soaked, overgrown streets of Seattle, you move like someone expecting something awful behind every corner because most of the time, there is. The infected are rough enough on their own. Shamblers spewing clouds, bloaters ripping you apart if you slip up. But the wild part is how the people you run into are just as frightening. They talk to each other, flank you, panic when you take down one of their own. And it gives every fight this heavy, guilty edge that doesn't let up. Then there's the Rat King, this giant knot of nightmares that feels like the game daring you to look away. Resources stay tight the whole journey, so every bottle, every bullet, every bandage matters. And on PS5, the look of the world is almost too real. Abandoned shops, ruined homes, tiny details that make the place feel lived in and long dead at the same time. Story debates aside, the tension never breaks, and the stealth hits hard from the first hour to the last. Resident Evil 2 Remake throws you into Raccoon City and makes the whole place feel like it's closing in on you. The police station is still the star of the show. Narrow halls, creaking doors, and that quiet stretch right before you hear Mr. X stomping around like he owns the place. Ammo stays scarce, herbs feel precious, and every time you pull the trigger, you're thinking about the next corner you have to survive. Leon and Claire's stories still weave together in that cool, old-school way, but the remake gives everything sharper sound, smoother movement, and a level of detail the PS1 version could only dream about. Lickers clinging to ceilings, rain sliding down windows, lights flickering at the worst moments. It all adds up. And on PS5, the game runs so smooth that if you panic and get caught, that one's on you. For anyone who loves survival horror or just wants to see a remake done right, this is about as essential as it gets.
And that wraps it up. 18 horror games that show the PS5 is still unmatched when it comes to pure fear. Your poor nerves might not survive all of these, but hey, that's part of the fun. If you're still here, tell me in the comments which one you're brave enough to play first, or which one you think I should have added. I'm always hunting for more nightmares to try. If this video helped you find your next scare, hit like and subscribe. I've got plenty more PS5 deep dives coming soon, and you won't want to miss them. Whew. All right, I need to go stare at a sunny window for a bit because talking about these games brought back too many dark memories. Happy gaming, and maybe double check that your doors are locked tonight.